Jim, everyone. This is Dr. Josh. I'm over here in Abu Dhabi, and we just came off of the Duke University event here for cybersecurity. It was a VIP event, very private, but it's because we have major people here, and I caught one of them to interview him today right before he leaves, so thank you very much. This is Sultan Meghji. Sultan Meghji is a former regulator in the United States. He's part of Bretton Woods and part of many other things. He's very well known in the area, and he's an expert in regulatory, finance, and all of these things. So we got some good alpha today and some insights of what's going on. I just heard him speak. It was amazing. And tell us about actually what you're doing with AI first. It's great to see you, man.
Oh, good to see you. Well, it's an interesting moment we're in right now because there's so much friction in all of these systems, and the entire crypto and digital assets crowd has realized this for a decade, right? And they're trying to attack it, I'd say, vertically, right? How do we put better products out there? The challenge is all this legacy technology, all this legacy infrastructure, especially in the United States, and AI and automation are a great way to solve that. So we started a company not too long ago that went from 0 to 8 figures in 6 months, and all it does is build tremendous efficiency and automation into large-scale financial services activity, especially market actors. And so we are, doing some amazing stuff. So that's one of the things I'm doing. The other thing I'm doing, what I was doing here, is I'm a professor at Duke University. I teach Web3 and artificial intelligence, and talk about it within the context of how to build regulatable technologies that can get through the regulatory system in a pretty straightforward way.
Wow.
And so we were talking about that too.
Okay, all right, so you're obviously a serial entrepreneur as well as a former regulator. Tell us a little bit about your governance experience, and then how you got into Web3, because it's super interesting.
Well, it's funny. How I got into Web3 originally is my dad called me up in 2013.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, he was like, "Have you heard of this Bitcoin thing?" And I'd like sort of heard about it. And so in 2013, he's like, "I'm buying Bitcoin," and which was hilarious. And so I have an old hard drive of his that has a Bitcoin wallet from that era that I don't know the password to. And it's driving me crazy. And for years, and he died a few years ago. And so I don't have the password. And it's driving me crazy. I don't even know how much is on it. I haven't even looked. I'm afraid to look, because if it's like 80,000 Bitcoin or something, I'm going to kill myself. But okay, so that's it. A couple years ago, in 2016, I started a fintech, and it was really designed to be a regulatable fintech to bring artificial intelligence and advanced technologies into the American banking system, which is, as we all know, one of the oldest in the world, and certainly one of the, I'd say, least innovative in the world. And we did a really good job, and I got very close to a bunch of the regulatory community. And so about a couple of years ago, right when COVID was going on, I was leaving the company. I just sold off my piece of it and was trying to take a vacation, and basically did a Zoom panel with the then chair of the FDIC, and we were in the green room, and I said to the chair, I'm like, well, this is the last time I'm doing this as CEO of this company. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to go sit on the beach, go to Florida, go to Puerto Rico, something like that. And 3 minutes later, Chief of Staff calls me once we were finished. It's like, hey, you need to come to DC. We've got this job called Chief Innovation Officer, and we need somebody to do crypto. We need somebody to do AI, all this type of stuff. And so I ended up going in, and I was at FDIC for a bit. And,
cool.
and I've been out for about 18 months now, and really glad to be back in the real world.
Yeah, kind of nice to be back in the real world, What the hell's going on in the United States, okay? What's going on? I mean, we're here in Abu Dhabi. We just had the chief regulators up here. They're pro-crypto, pro-tokenization. They have clear frameworks. Other people are obviously following their lead, but they have, clear frameworks, ways forward. They're bringing in asset managers. They're bringing in businesses. They're turning into this new digital economy, digital assets economy. What's happening with our country, brother?
Well, I mean, think about it just from a basic law perspective, right? You go back to the Constitution of the United States, and you look at all of the laws that we've built out, especially since World War II, that govern how the U.S. financial system operates. In 1987, we had no idea that crypto would be a thing, and guess what? It's a thing. Right? People in 1987, they would do 10 financial transactions a month. They'd write a check for their mortgage. They'd write a check for $100 in cash. They'd write a check at the grocery store. Right? I probably do 10 transactions a day. You probably do 20 transactions a day, not even including the crypto stuff. Right? And so we have decades and decades of legal framework that has just paralyzed so much of the ability of real innovation to happen in the U.S. context. It's always, at the edge. It's always, well, you've got to go down 3 layers to get to something. In places like Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Singapore and Hong Kong, these other places, they don't have all of that paper. They don't have a stack 2 meters high of paperwork you have to read through and have 500 lawyers analyze for you, right? They have a very specific job. There's a guy here who's a regulator who half of his job is business development, how to bring money to the region, to this jurisdiction. And we've seen it. The guy was saying just now, I was listening to this, he said 0 to 350 multi-$100 million financial services firms have moved here in the last 4 years. And there was a story in Bloomberg that came out just yesterday or whatever, saying there are 5,000 investable SPVs with value over $1 billion. Or something like that, right? Because they have way more freedom to operate. And they have direction from on high, which it's not a democracy. If the boss says do it, then you do it, right? And guess what? It gives them tremendous freedom to operate. The challenge on the U.S. side is, U.S. is 57% of global reserve currency. If it drops under 50, all sorts of other things happen to the U.S. economy. And so everybody in Congress and the White House, all they're trying to do is protect that nest egg. And the only way to protect it is to freeze it, to embrace the status quo, to embrace that status. Here, it's 1% of that. So guess what? If they go from 1% to 3%, the U.S. probably won't even notice. But guess what?
That's big.
It's huge. It's a massive change. And so that's why you see so many billions of dollars flowing into the region.
Wow. Okay. And so, in the sense of what you're doing here, you're here representing Duke University. How you don't come from an academic background. You explained a little bit about your diverse background. How does it feel to be a professor? You like it? And what's going on at Duke in the area of digital assets as well?
Well, so the very first time I taught a class was 1997, and I got a bug for it. So I've been doing it for a little bit, and I just have to say I've taught at a bunch of different universities, and I really enjoyed teaching. I really, especially like teaching in the STEM areas in engineering. And so I teach at Pratt Engineering School at Duke University, and I teach I build classes. That's what I'm known for, is I build engineering classes. And I'm in the fintech and cybersecurity program right now, and what I'm doing is building 2 types of classes. Applied Web3 for fintech and cybersecurity, and so in the fall, I teach that. So I'm teaching the Intro to Web3 class. I taught the cybersecurity for Web3 class, the semester before. And in the spring, I teach applied artificial intelligence. And so the class this spring is actually going to be amazing, because it's going to be applied artificial intelligence for fintech. And I've already talked to most of the students that are going to be in there, and they're going to be projects and all this stuff. Every single thing we're doing is going to be AI plus digital assets.
Okay.
And so by the way, we're the first program in the country that does that.
Right. Okay. It's super that you mentioned that, because I just had an interview with Brittany Kaiser. I don't know if you know who that is. She was the Cambridge Analytica whistleblower, and I asked her about the coming AI revolution and stuff like that. She's really big on owning your own data and privacy. This aspect of this connection here, AI, Web3, you see that obviously as a natural connection. What are the most interesting ideas or projects that you've heard of or seen or are involved in or are invested in, or that we should invest in, or founders that we should invest in that you've come across, man?
Wow, I mean, we'll be here for 2 hours. so I'll tell you.
I know you got to go. Just give us one.
I'll give you 3. How about this? I'll give you 3 things. Okay.
That's what I like.
So number one. Okay. So number one, the biggest challenge with artificial intelligence and digital assets right now is that the technologies are just not compatible. OpenAI, which is 5-year-old technology, big server farms, big GPUs, all of that. A Solana node, an ETH node, you can run that on your laptop.
Glasses are pretty
right?
dark, so
that's all good, right? So what I get excited about, so the first thing I get excited about are people who really understand enough of the technology where they can fix that computational offset. So for example, my company, I have an LLM that I can build, I can model it, I can build the model, and I can run it all on my laptop. And it's as good as ChatGPT 3.5. Now, we haven't released it yet, so it's a little alpha for you guys. But we're not the only ones who are doing it.
Alpha.
Yeah, so we're not the only ones doing it. There are probably 50 companies that have cracked this.
Yeah.
Because it's all based on a couple of academic papers.
Exactly.
Right? So guess what? Free, open, This is the entire thesis of the original internet, and
Right.
it's why Web3 is so powerful. It's open.
I feel you, bro.
3, it's open source. Okay.
I was a
So that's-
university professor myself, and I did a TED talk on called the digitized public intellectual, and I was a big network neutrality proponent.
There we go. So there we go. So you get this.
I feel
So
you, man.
so the next
2012.
So the next generation, the next generation of AI and the next generation of digital assets, it's going to be open. It's going to be hyper efficient, and every single use case is going to be on the table. Every single use case, everything we take. So all of the stuff that's out there right now, it's like Alta Vista, and somebody's about to build Google. Okay?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
it's Satoshi's paper just came out, and we haven't even thought about a smart contract yet. Like,
Right.
that's the kind of evolution we're talking about. So that's number one. Number 2 is we are at a point where with a laptop and an internet connection, you can go from 0 to running something that 2 years ago would have taken $100 million to build.
Yeah.
Right? The tooling, the enabling technology is so good. Everybody listening to this at their fingertips could go from 0 to a $100 million company in 6 months. Okay?
Enabling technology.
Enabling,
yeah.
right? All the stuff that's on GitHub, all the libraries, all the tooling,
there.
it's all there. And with some of these co-piloting technologies and the generative AIs to help on coding, you don't even have to be a coder. You just have to say, I want to take this thing and this thing and this thing, glue them together, and go. And guess what? You don't need to raise money. And so that's probably the most interesting thing, is that the entire venture ecosystem is being turned on its head. Because, I'll give you an example. My company didn't raise a penny.
Yeah, but I mean, you're an established guy,
Yeah,
and you come from a background where your dad's calling you to get Bitcoin.
Yeah, but my point is, yeah, I'm a really fortunate guy in that way.
Yeah.
But every single person listening
Could do
the exact same
Yeah.
thing.
if they got a brain.
Exactly.
And a willingness and a persistence.
Right.
And an idea.
Right. And I'll tell you,
cojones.
99% of the people who are doing that kind of stuff are not in Europe, and they're not in the United States.
It's a developing country.
And places like this.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what they don't got here? Roy Williams. Best coach of all time. Best coach of all time is at Duke. I know, because he was at Kansas. I mean.
Are you a KU guy?
I'm a KU guy, man.
Oh,
yeah,
Illinois.
My family's from KU.
Oh. I used to have family living in Lawrence.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
cool.
awesome.
It's a small world, man.
Yeah,
It's a
tiny.
small world. Okay, so you can't become Roy Williams, but you know what? You can make a badass basketball team with using AI, right? So that was the second thing, and enabling technology is the first thing, you know.
Yeah.
And then what was the third?
The third is, over the next few years, the regulatory environments are all going to become more amenable.
Like sandboxes and all that.
All this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Some places are going to move really fast, like Abu Dhabi, like Dubai,
Yeah.
some places like that. Other places are going to move really slowly. But when you see countries like the UK and Germany and Italy jumping in on this,
Yeah.
the boulder is rolling down the hill.
Okay.
So you might get despondent. You might be like, oh, the US this, that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just be patient.
Don't invest in the U.S. dollar. Okay, but
That's a different interview.
that's not financial advice.
But
Bitcoin.
the U.S. is really well positioned. They have this capital.
Yeah.
They have all of this captured political will and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But
Bunch of fat
fundamentally,
people. Yeah.
but fundamentally, you can start something in a place like Abu Dhabi. You can start it in Venezuela. You can start it in Kenya. You could start
Right.
it in Singapore. You start it in Indonesia.
Right.
And guess what? The U.S. needs that tech.
Yep.
It needs that innovation. It needs that. And so over the next few years, especially as we see this big demographic change in the U.S., the boomers are finally, going to start retiring, hopefully one of these days.
Yeah.
We have a tiny Gen X population,
Yeah.
you and me, basically.
But they're getting
right?
a lot of money.
Yeah, but they're getting all the money, right?
Right.
But guess what? There are not
Wealth
enough
transfer.
people to do the actual work, to
Yeah.
build the innovation. So
And AI
be patient.
can't do everything, right?
No, but spend the next few years building up the capacity, building the tech, getting yourself set up. And then when the U.S. is ready to flip that switch, be ready to go.
Wow. Okay, man. That sounds like a professor I want to go to. So check it out. If you can get into Duke, go to Duke. Go to Sultan's program. Amazing interview. So we'd love to have you on Crypto Mondays. I don't know if we do one in North Carolina, but we could do one for you. We'll go to basketball game. We don't do Crypto Mondays, man. Great to have you on Crypto Mondays, man. All right, cheers.